Hey, what's up? Today I'm doing a new video, reaction video to investment strategies. First one I looked up was Top 10's Top 10 Strategies. So shout out to Top 10 Pokemon, good channel, good content, great collection. Seems like a really solid person. So nothing I say is to stir up drama, anything like that. I work in financial planning. I'm an investment manager. I create portfolios. So I'm bringing that perspective to my collecting, but also maybe a little bit to this video. So let's see what he has to say. Maybe I'll agree with everything. Maybe I won't. But let's dive in.
What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, bringing you my biggest video to date. Today, for the first time ever, I will be discussing with you my top 10 strategies that I have used when investing in Pokemon
top 10's
cards
top 10
for the past 10 years. In this video, I will be showing you a bit of my collection, as well as talk about some pitfalls that I have endured over my investment career. If you just started investing in Pokemon cards, or were thinking about investing, this video is for you. Or maybe you've been investing in Pokemon cards for a while now. Maybe you're a seasoned veteran in this hobby. And to that I say, stick around. Maybe you'll hear something that you didn't think about before. Before I get started, I want to thank this community for your viewership and support of this channel. It means more to me than you know, and I
watch
pray
some of
this
his
video
videos.
helps
I think
you
he's
out
fine.
in some way.
He's got some good stuff. He clearly knows a lot. Clearly has a huge collection.
This video might not be for
He's got a way bigger collection than I do.
Normally limit my videos to around 8 to 10 minutes. I can foresee that going way over it. I'm going to be dumping out all of my investment strategies and going into great detail on a lot of these. So yeah, this is going to be a longer video for you. So with that being said, let's get started on the first fundamental of investing, and a very important one at that would have to be popularity. Specifically, the popularity of specific Pokemon characters. Not every Pokemon is created equally, which is why it's important to consider the popularity of the specific Pokemon that you are investing in. Here in my hand is a Pop 1 Magmar that's been a Pop 1 PSA 10 card for a very long time and will probably remain that way, but the fact of the matter is that it's a Magmar.
Doesn't fit in there,
and
but it's cool.
Even though it's a Generation 1 Pokemon, nobody cares about him the way they do, let's say, Charizard or Pikachu. I've made mistakes in the past.
Okay, we don't need to talk about that. We know that. We're smart here.
Ask yourself, what's the cost of admission? You're probably thinking right now, what is that supposed to mean? What is the cost of admission, TTP? I refer to the cost of admission as what would it take for me to pull this particular card that I'm looking to get out of a booster pack, or better yet, a booster box. How much would that cost me? And this was especially helpful to me way back when I was buying PSA 10 Unlimited base set holos. Back then, the packs were selling for like $300+. Meanwhile, I could buy PSA 10 holos from that set for less than $100, some for less than $50.
Okay, not too sure where this is going, but yeah, I mean, opening sealed product is never worth it. It's about the chase. I mean, it's about the enjoyment. It's about the fun cost that Danny Phantom talks about. I mean, that's why we rip. I'm not buying base set to rip. You know? Well, let's see where he goes.
So why would I bother buying and opening up these specific packs looking for this holo that would very likely not even grade a PSA 10 right out of the pack, when I could buy it already graded a PSA 10 for a fraction of the cost? And the same rule applies to modern product. Why would I spend hundreds of dollars on a modern set card when I have a chance of pulling it out of a booster pack that's less than $10? So keep in mind the cost of pulling a card from a booster pack versus just buying that card outright for a lot less. Another mindset to have when investing in Pokemon cards.
Okay, we need to talk about this. Let's give you an example. The numbers aren't going to be accurate, but this is just for easy math, so we can do it in our head, and I don't have to do a spreadsheet in front of you. When we think about the valuing a modern single as opposed to packs, okay, let's use Moonbrown. Let's call it 500 American. I'm not sure it's there right now. It's maybe a little lower. So Moonbrowns, $500 American. And let's say for the sake of this example that Evolving Skies packs are $5 American. I think they're quite a bit higher, but we're calling them 5. If we look at pull rates from a number of sources, we can see that the Moonbrowns pull rates, and we're talking about like maybe 12 to 20,000 packs I've seen. The pull rates looked like they were like 1 in 1,200 maybe. But let's call it 1 in 1,000 for easy math, okay? If Moonbrowns $500, and in Top 10's argument here, why would he pay $500 for Moonbrown when he could pay $5 for Evolving Skies pack and potentially pull it? Well, my question for you is, would you pay $5 for 1/1000th of a Moonbryon? No? Okay. So same logic will apply to raffles or waffles that you might see online, where people say, hey, I'm selling this Charizard that's worth $100. I'm waffling it off. $2 a spot, 100 spots. The only way I'm buying into that waffle, from my point of view, is if I think that Charizard is worth more than $200, because that's the total cost of the waffle. And for me to guarantee myself that card, I would have to spend the $200, right? But why would I do that when I can go buy it for $100? So the same logic will apply to the modern packs and singles. Why would I rip 10 booster boxes of Evolving Skies in hopes that I pull the Moonbryon when that really only gives me what, a 1 in 3 chance? I'm not paying that much money for a 1 in 3 chance at Moonbryon. No chance. So that's how I look at that from a numbers point of view, trying to be practical. And we talk about using your investment dollars wisely. Like if you're specifically investing, do not rip any packs. Period.
Is to bear in mind what is and what eventually will be out of print. As long as something is sitting on a store shelf for anybody to come in and purchase at retail price, it won't exactly be an expensive piece of product.
And sorry, back to the Moonbryon thing. So 1 in 1,000 is your odds. I think that's better than what they actually are. And say the packs are $5. That means the Moonbryon you could value at $5,000, right? Of course, it's going to be less because in those 1,000 packs, you're pulling other things that give you some money back. I guarantee you, you're not getting $4,500 worth of stuff back. I can guarantee it, unless you pull freaking 10 Moonbryons. But anyway, you see where I'm coming from?
However, when they stop printing that product and it stops arriving on store shelves and it officially becomes out of print, that's typically where we see financial gains. Even the lamest Pokemon card sets of all time, Black and White Noble Victories, Steam Siege.
You did not talk about my Steam Siege like that.
Sun and Moon Crimson Invasion have seen increases in their sealed product simply because they're out of print. For that reason, I feel that sealed product purchased around the MSRP price will always be a fantastic long-term investment. Yeah, which is a great segue into our next principle of Pokemon card investing. Sealed.
But let's talk about print run for a sec. Let's use the example of Temporal Forces coming out in March, right? Maybe a little less than a month from now. So there's rumors from, people with access to distributors that own stores are saying that they're not getting as much Temporal Forces as they wanted. So there's word that it's short printed. So people will obviously read into that and say, oh, well, I'm going to buy Temporal Forces for MSRP at release and I'm going to make a quick flip. So my issue with that would be, you see reprint waves maybe a year post release, and when Pokemon Company's going to look back in 6 to 12 months from now, and they'd be like, oh, okay, we need to print some more stuff. We need to get some cards out in the hands of players, not collectors, players for the most part, because it'll still well be standard. they're going to say, well, what did we print the least of? And let's put some more of that out. So you saw like Battle Styles and Chilling Reign get huge second waves. So print runs, sure, but don't worry about buying in right away, even if it's rumored to be a short print run. Other than like a promo card like the Mango Pikachu, where it's like, hey, spend $30. If you could have done that, then do it. I mean, it's a great card, right? Risk low, and if it is scarce, quick bucks. But from a sealed perspective, there's probably nothing that I'm necessarily concerned about getting first wave. Like for 151 Pokemon Center ETBs, I waited till second wave and got a case. That was fine. Lucky, because you never know if that second wave's coming to Pokemon Center, but let's wait a bit, okay? Print run, yes, it's more of a scarcity issue than a print run issue, because, you know, second waves will come. Always aim for the second wave, okay? That would be my advice.
Product is king. You're probably thinking, top 10 Pokemon, didn't you just pretty much say that when you were talking about out-of-print sealed product? No. This particular fundamental is different. Sealed product is king, not only because it becomes out of print and much more scarce, but it's also the most diverse thing you can invest in. Take this Team Rocket First Edition base set booster box. Now this is a sealed box, and I can do so many things with it. I can sell it sealed.
Yeah.
I can open it up and grade the packs.
You can drop it.
I can open it up and weigh out the packs.
Oh, come on.
And open up the heavy packs and sell the light packs or grade the light packs. I can open up the heavy packs and try to pull out those big money hollows. So there's just so much that you can do with a sealed booster
All
box
good points.
that you can't.
Some people wouldn't make, might be a little fearful to make them. That's true. You can do it.
Having some
as long
good
as you're honest
sealed
about
product
it.
is
You
a
say, hey,
great
these are
way
light.
to have diversity in your Pokemon
That's fine.
investments. The next category we'll be discussing involves population and or saturation potential, which basically means be aware of the potential something might have to multiply. This is absolutely crucial to remember when buying newly graded cards, specifically modern cards. I'm sure you already know, but the Pokemon Company printed an obscene amount of cards back when the 2020 boom occurred to meet the insane demand, something like 9.7 billion cards. So when the newest Charizard Chase card comes out,
is that in English or just worldwide, all languages?
Nor will the graded copies end up being scarce. Now, some argue that the amount of cards printed doesn't matter because the demand will always overwhelm the supply. And to that I say, probably not. It is definitely not wise to think that the demand that we saw from 2020 will always be the case in this hobby. As a matter of fact, you could argue that the demand has significantly decreased over the past year or two. So when faced with the decision to buy an out-of-print card with very few mint copies available versus a card that's still in print with thousands of graded copies and more coming, I'm going to go with the older card. Our number 6 topic of discussion today.
Fair points. I mean, from a relative value standpoint, you know, if the cards are the same price and one is far more scarce and they're both Moonbreons in this case, go old, because, you know, not a ton of that stuff's being open now. Evolving Skies is open so much every day. It's not in print, but it's open so much every day. But this is the thing with these videos where he'll say this point like, no, there's too many Moonbreons. There's thousands on the pop report. There's no way it can appreciate much more in price or something. And another person will be like, well, sure it can. It's Moonbreon. Everyone wants it. And it comes back to sort of his first point of popularity. If there's thousands graded of like, I don't know, a Wigglytuff or something. Yeah, okay. Not really concerned about that long term whatsoever. But if it's a expensive chase, popular Pokemon, long term, the demand for that card is probably going to be higher than the demand for some of these older ones. And I think part of me thinks that because, let's be honest, as much as we love the old cards, the new ones, the new art is so much better in terms of the full art and the texture and things like that. The artwork on the old cards is fantastic. But it's just the box, right? It's just the window. It's not the full art. It's not the texture. And they're really allowing more creativity and stuff in this artwork. And because it's current, I think people are also attracted to it. So this is really subjective. And if you got thousands of a specific Pokemon card, that's graded. But it's awesome artwork, awesome Pokemon. I don't think it's a bad play, long-term or short-term.
It involves grading card companies and the importance of their popularity and reputation. As you probably know, there are 4 mainstream grading card companies in terms of Pokemon cards: PSA, Beckett, CGC, and SGC. And I really couldn't tell you much about the other numerous grading card companies. Let me just say, the purpose of grading and authenticating cards is not to physically protect them. Me having this card here in a top loader pretty much does the trick with that. But rather, you are trusting in the name and reputation of that grading card company. Just kidding, I know you misspoke. And of course, trusting their authentication process. I could come up with my own grading card company and slap that card in a slab and claim that I am the strictest grading card company this world has ever seen, and that nobody else is more strict on their grading process than I am. But at the end of the day, no one's gonna pay a premium for my brand, because my grading card company name would mean nothing compared to the infinite popularity of the likes of PSA and Beckett.
Yeah.
During the auction recap for nearly 4 years.
Let's talk about, okay, so, yeah, so the inverse is true as well. So people love their PSA, right? That's kind of the go-to. And I mean, if you've read any forums or watched many YouTube videos, there's some sketchy stuff that's gone on there. Same with Beckett, and even sketchier stuff at CGC. So we're talking about, what do you call it? So in business, a risk in business when you do an endorsement deal or something is attaching your brand to that label, right? So Nike and Tiger Woods, right? Nike attaches their brand to Tiger Woods' wagon. Now they're at the risk of something happening with Tiger Woods that is illegal or, you know, not kosher, whatever, right? Scandal, anything. That can hurt their brand, right? Lance Armstrong and Nike, same idea. So it's the same thing. You stack up all your cards with PSA. Sure, right now, for the most part, they're trusted and value holds really well, but I mean, it's not impossible that something atrocious happens with PSA and it just starts crumbling. When we saw CGC first kind of enter the fold, when the others were backed up so much, people were starting to understand that CGC had stricter grading, and they're like, oh, there's some value in this. A CGC 9 could be a PSA 10, so maybe I crack it and send it in, things like that. And you actually saw the CGC slab prices start to slowly increase. They weren't at the PSA Beckett levels yet, but there is possibility if you're transparent, ethical, hard graders, and you have good business practices, that you could feasibly eventually challenge them. Because if you watch some of these videos lately with like Rattle and talking about Beckett and how many people were at Beckett and they had one person grading Pokemon at Beckett. Are you kidding me? You're telling me no one could come in with great grading experience and knock off, or at least be in the conversation of top 3 in 5 years kind of thing? So to me, there's always that risk. It's a hard market entry, right? There's some barriers to entry there, capital wise and stuff, but yeah, just dig into it. These grading companies, man, I don't know.
Years now, I have seen numerous comments that hate on all kinds of grading card companies. Everyone. But the fact of the matter is, you need to stick with reputable grading card companies that have graded millions of trading cards. Don't waste your money on Joe Blow grading. Stick with the names that are already established. Next up, we have possibly one of the biggest considerations when...
But yes, when he says stick with names that are established, I mean... To me, it's just PSA or Beckett. I have one CGC slab, and I'll be honest, the stuff I'm hearing about them the last year and a half, I don't want to touch them.
It comes to Pokemon investing, and that is, of course, condition. Kind of goes without saying, but condition is very important to collectors, including myself. And this is especially significant in the graded card market, which is why we have something called condition rarity. Condition rarity allows for that chase in Pokemon cards that were produced in a larger quantity at some point. A perfect example is the Unlimited base set Charizard, and this card probably had millions of copies made. Now you can get a near mint copy of this card probably for a couple $100 because of the availability. But the condition rarity of a PSA 10 will always command a premium, as this card sells for more
chasing 10s, right?
To grade a 10.
Sorry,
the tougher it is to grade that card a 10, the more likely it will hold its value or even increase in value. For number 8, let's talk about one of the most dangerous aspects of this hobby: hype. Investing during a period of hype can quickly turn into devastation when you're trying to make a profit.
Has anyone done that? It's kind of funny because this can be misinterpreted. Hype could be misinterpreted for popularity and vice versa. His first point, just from sustained popularity might have been a better point for point 1, right? And I think that's more what he was getting at, is just popular Pokemon that have always kind of been popular. Speaking of hype, I think my worst buy was Shining Fates ETBs at $100 Canadian, not American. That was 2020 because they were hard to get. So I got burned a bit on those. Anything else I got burned on? It was just because I opened it.
Isn't that the point of investing? To make a profit. Case in point, my PSA 10 Unlimited base set Raichu Holo.
Oh God, what'd you
One
pay
of
for
the
that?
biggest mistakes I have ever made in my investment career, and I'm going to tell you why. This was the final card that I needed to complete my PSA 10 Unlimited base set Holo collection.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, good for you, man. That's I'm not being sarcastic. That's pretty
cool. And I
cool.
purchased this card during a period of hype this hobby had never seen before, and I'm pretty sure I paid a record price for it.
Ooh, a couple grand, probably. 3?
About $2,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, if I would have sat back and took a minute to realize this isn't a particularly rare card, nor was it a low pop card by any means, and that there would likely be a lot more graded examples in the future, I would have been able to hold off and wait till that hype period ended. Because, folks, hype does not...
So this is also before there were a ton of graded copies of it too, right? Okay. Yep.
Last forever, even though
Great
sometimes
point.
it feels like it will.
Cool of him
Needless
to
to
admit a
say,
mistake.
the following years, the value of this card lowered more and more with each passing sale.
You just got
hype
burned by one
doesn't
thing.
just apply to a specific
over
period
$2,000
of
in the
time
future.
in the hobby. Even in today's market, we still see cards or pieces of product that are hyped up by social media and made to seem like if we don't pay that extravagant pre-order price, we might be missing out, when that's almost never the case. A few good examples.
Yeah, for the love of... Well, yeah, don't. I mean, just don't. But that being said, I bought into the hype of Celebration pre-orders. And so I pre-ordered a UPC, Celebrations UPC for 300 Canadian. And I was like, Jesus, MSRP is supposed to be like 150. This is ridiculous. But I could cancel the pre-order for like a 3% fee or something. So I was like, I'm going to lock it in and we'll see. I could not find another one. For a year, I could not find another one at all. Still haven't found another one. So sometimes.
So that would be the special delivery Charizard, the Pikachu Van Gogh promo card, and of course
I made mad cash off I made over $1,000 off Van Gogh Pikachu, so I don't know. Special delivery Charizard, I think I made a couple hundred. Now I'm sitting on like 5 of them or something.
This Charizard Ultra Premium Collection box. All 3 of those items were drastically overpriced upon their release.
Was the Charizard
these prices
overpriced?
Quickly fell back down to earth not long after they hit the market.
I think I paid
which is a
$150
great
for
time to shift into
Canadian.
our next topic of discussion. Having patience and doing research. 99.9% of Pokemon cards or Pokemon card products has historical information that you can look up through eBay or other various platforms. eBay has the TerraPeak research tool that you can use to analyze past sales. Other platforms like PWCC, Heritage, and Golden have past sales data as well. So if you see something coming through an auction and it's getting close to the maximum amount that you're willing to pay, do some quick research on it. Look at the...
From an investment standpoint, I was hoping that more of this would be actual like strategies. I wouldn't really call them strategies. But from an investment standpoint, I think patience is one of the biggest things, especially even if you're sitting on stuff that isn't a winner. Seriously, be patient. If you're looking for a specific single that came out in the last few months, be patient. Just keep watching the sales, see what happens. You'll have a great feel of what the market price is and how it's trending. If you're sitting on Scarlet and Violet base set booster boxes, probably not appreciating for a while, but patience, and they will. Alternatively, you could move on from those into something you think is going to do better short term, but that's more speculative. But patience is always key.
Cheapest buy it now price. Look at previous auction end prices. Is it something that you can make an offer on instead? 99 times out of 100, a card or particular piece of product will come around the market again. So don't pull the trigger on a price that you're not willing to pay simply because you have a fear of missing out. Because you might end up like me, with an overpriced Raichu that may very well never sell for the price that I paid. The next strategy that people sometimes underutilize is holding out for auctions. An example of this that I recently experienced was this PSA 10 first edition Charmander. For months and months, I was watching this Charmander on eBay as a buy it now. And even though it was the lowest priced one on eBay, I still didn't feel like it was worth the asking price. Or at least not a price that I was comfortable paying. Until one day...
So and this isn't even necessarily his point, but I think he makes a great one in terms of... One thing I like to do is I'm like, these are the prices I am comfortable paying for these cards in mint condition or in a PSA 10 or whatever. And if I don't see it at that price, I probably don't buy it. But what you can do if you're in the Facebook groups or Discords or things, you go in search of post. Be careful because scammers will always target those. But do an ISO post. I want this card in condition. This is what I'm willing to pay shipped. And if someone's willing to sell it to you for that, they'll hit you up. Be careful of scammers because they're only pretty well targeting ISO posts because they don't make a public post. They just private message you and yada yada. Anyway, it's a great point. Kind of have that price in your mind of what you want to pay for something. Just put a feeler out there if someone's going to sell it to you for that price, or wait, whether it's an auction or for a price reduction, especially if it's on eBay. Add to your watch list. Anytime I have something on my watch list, I pretty much always get 15% off if you want. Like, just be patient.
Auctioned off. And I ended up paying less than half the cost winning it in auction compared to what it was listed for buy it now. And that's why I've always put an emphasis on auctions on this channel. Because even though you still might run into issues like shill bidding, which can be managed with lots of
auctions
research,
can be good
it's
if you
still one of the biggest
stuff.
indicators of what a card or piece of product is worth. Because there's nothing worse than buying a card, buy it now, let's say for $200, and then seeing it auctioned off the following week for like $80. And to finish off this video, folks, I got a bonus strategy for you. Let's call it an honorable mention. Invest in what you love, which may in turn help you deal with loss.
That's funny. Not like literally funny. I was just watching a video yesterday that said, don't invest in what you love. And it was kind of like, I forget who it was, but their point was, some people are really like niche things. And the argument was, it comes back to top 10's first point of popularity, right? But to me, you collect what you love and you invest in other things is how I would approach things. And if the stuff that you love appreciates, it's gravy, right? I collect, personally, alt arts, trainer gallery type cards. That's pretty much it. I want to get one of every full art ever made in English, but that's a long journey, and I don't prioritize it. I have binders of doubles of trainer gallery and alt arts and Galarian gallery and illustrator rares and all that stuff. I collect those. I think they'll appreciate over time, no doubt, but I love them, period. So I'm okay holding them. I invest in sealed for the most part. And maybe we can do another video where we talk about singles versus sealed and things like that, or maybe another YouTuber has that. But yeah, seriously, collect what you love, invest in other stuff.
I feel like this is something special and unique to investing in things like trading card and art in general. As I've said before, no investor is perfect. Nobody will always buy something at the bare bottom prices and then sell them at the tippy top. It's just not a feasible strategy.
Okay, if you've lasted this long, then one of the things that we say in investing in general, it's not timing the market. We can sort of time, macro things like interest rate changes and things. That's fine. But the true returns come from time in market. And that doesn't matter if you're going through the big waves and stuff. It's time in market, not timing.
If it wasn't for my love and appreciation for these cards, some of my investments that went south may have derailed me in my future investments. Now, if you have no emotional ties to Pokemon and are just looking at everything in this hobby as money, then you will probably experience more volatility with your investment decisions. But to those of you who love the Pokemon TCG,
that's another thing.
And believe in the long-term demand that it will have for many years to come, then you'll be able to deal with.
If you have everything in Collector app or something and it tells you what your collection's at, don't look at that every day. Just don't. One, it's not hyper accurate. Two, doesn't matter, because most of the stuff that you invest in, at least, you are in it long term, or whatever your time horizon is, which we can talk in another video. And where's our hype? Hype was 8, right?
A specific period of time in the.
So one further point to this, and then we'll wrap it up. Hype. So what you could do is the Warren Buffett quote, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So if there's major hype around a product, one thing I find happens is the people that don't have the cash on hand, and it could be a business too, or a person, they're going to clear out some stuff, right? To get that cash, that liquidity on hand to buy whatever's hyped, right? So I would like to look at other areas. So say something came out soon, some banger sealed product. Stores, what are stores going to liquidate? I'd venture Scarlet and Violet base set, Paldea Evolved maybe, Paradox Rift, they probably got a ton of, Paldean Fates. I would look at those and I'd be like, okay, which one of those is the oldest? All right, maybe we'll buy into that at this point. You can find these little almost arbitrage opportunities and things like that. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this was somewhat helpful or insightful. And the next one will be, I don't know, tell me in the comments. What video would you like me to look at next? Peace.